Salvete discipulae discipuli. Nunc est Angulus Historiae. It's History Corner with Mr. Carroll. Today we're going to be looking at another town official, similar to the aediles like we looked at in one of my previous videos. Today's official we're going to be looking at is the Duumvirate, or the Duumviri, the two men. So these were town officials, and they were the senior office in a Roman town. It's similar today to how we have mayors of towns. They're the ones, the Duumvirate is kind of like a mayorship. The Duumviri would be elected yearly, and the two men would share power. And remember, in ancient Rome, it was always men running for office. It's a similar power structure to how the councils in Rome would have shared power. In Rome, every year, two consuls were elected, and they were the ones in charge of the army and all the things going on. Of course, the difference being is the Duumvirate is only looking at the town that they're living in, whereas the consuls in Rome are more like a federal government where they're looking at the entire Roman area controlled by Rome over the whole Mediterranean. The Duumvirate would be working with the aediles, who were the public works officers, and so they would kind of form a board, which sometimes was called the Quattuorviri, or the four men. Now, there's a bunch of rules set up from Rome about how these officials had to work. The Lex Julia, set up by Julius Caesar in 45 BCE, is one of them. There's also the Lex Irenitana and the Lex Malacitana, and a bunch of others set up by the Flavians as well, that kind of give everyone the responsibilities and explain what they're supposed to do. Now, because they're running yearly, we have a lot of election notices, like seen here on this wall. And you can see kind of in the middle, in between the two windows, where you see the CIP, and then you can look right next to it and you see two eyes in a weir. That's the shorthand for duo-weir, and we're going to look at some of that on the next slide. So what is the Latin? Because as you saw in there's a lot of ways to kind of write it or abbreviate it. So there's the Duumviri or the Duoviri, same thing. Its longer form name is the Duumviri Iure Dicundo, the Duumvirs for administering justice. And it can be abbreviated as Roman numeral 2, vir, or ID, or DID. All right, all those are kind of ways that it's written about in these election notices, which a lot of them come from Pompeii because of the way it was preserved, but it gives us an idea of how politics are running in a small town. So what are the responsibilities? Well, they administer justice. They're kind of the lead law officers in the town. Remember, Rome and the Roman Empire doesn't have an established police force, or an established kind of law system where they're getting people coming in who are suing. So you have to bring in the person you're suing yourself, or you have to hire someone to bring them in. And the Duumviri, even though they're mayors, they're also kind of acting like judges and administering the justice that way. They also are in charge of the public finance of the city. They need to make sure taxes are collected, tariffs are paid. They go around and make sure they with the aediles go around and make sure nobody's using the weights in a cheating manner, kind of like hollowing out a weight to be like, oh, you're not giving me enough gold, or what, however you would cheat the system. They're also the head people in charge of proceedings in the Ordo Decurionem, which is essentially the town council. It's similar to the Senate in Rome. These are senior men in the town who have previously held the aedileship or the Duumviri, and they are of a certain wealth in the town, and they're the ones that make up laws and announce holidays and fund certain things. They also deal with elections in the Comitium. The Comitium is kind of like the House of Legislation in the United States. They're an assembly of the people, and so the Duumviri are the ones that kind of hold the elections to get the people who are going to run the assembly in place. And the Comitium is a place for the plebs and the people who don't have the same wealth as those in the Ordo to have a voice as well. And then every 5 years, they need to conduct a census and revise the Ordo list, which basically means, do you still have enough money to be in that rank of the town? And these men are known as the quinquennales, and they're the ones that kind of go and count everyone in the town. And so they have all these previous responsibilities in addition to conducting a census. And so, like I said before, we have a lot of evidence about the Duumviri from Pompeii. We have a lot of inscriptions, like you see here on the side, with these two here off to the left-hand side, of people running for office. The top one is shorthand for Gaius Julius Polybius. He wants to be run as Duumvir, and the OVF is a shorthand for Oro Vos Facitis. I beg that you vote for this person. So it basically says, I beg that you vote for Gaius Julius Polybius for Duumvir. And it's kind of, we have what the actual Latin would have looked like off to the right-hand side too. Or the one below it is another one running for Duumvir. It's Publius Paquinius Proculus for Duumvir, and the DR there is DRP is standing for he's a man worthy of public office, and then the Dignus Est is again saying he is worthy. He is should be able to run for this. So we have lots of these people. We know all sorts of names of people who ran for Duumviri in Pompeii. There's a bit of a problem though with this is because they're only election kind of like the placards you see coming that go up around October and November in the United States, where you're like, vote for X person, vote for Y person, vote yes on this ballot initiative, vote no on this ballot initiative. This is that same idea for the Romans and the Pompeians. So we don't know what year Gaius Julius Polybius was running. We don't know, did Publius Paquinius Proculus win or not? We have to assume that some of them did win because they kept going up and over again. But others may not have. We also don't know who was right in this. Was it the candidate himself paying people to paint these signs on the sides of buildings? Because that's where they would have been. They would have been painted like you saw in that picture on the first slide. Or was it people supporting them? Could you have painted it anywhere? Or was there underhandedness where maybe Polybius and Proculus were running against each other and they painted over each other's signs? We do know that, though, we know it's mostly men, it's wealthy. We do know we have a lot of people who do sign their names, and it's like the bread makers or the mule drivers or the fullers want you to vote for this person. We also know that it was sometimes people would run together, and they would be put two names on an advertisement, and there's a bunch of examples of those as well. So that's kind of the rundown of who the Duumviri are and what's kind of going on with them. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave them in the comments or go ahead and send me an email. And Walete until next time.